Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to give you guys a chance to realize that I'm here. This is an impromptu live. So I'm going to give people a chance to realize that I'm here. And then I'll get started. I'm not going to be on here very long at all. And if I don't have enough time, I'll probably just have to come back and finish this up because I actually have to go get COVID-19 tests for myself and my daughter. So just wait a few more minutes and then I'm gonna get started. Good morning, everybody. I pray you all are having a blessed day. Okay, good morning. My name is Rashida Strober. I am the world's first and only dark-skinned activist. I am the creator, the inventor, the designer, the architect of the very first platform in history ever created for the eradication of colorism and what I call darkism. The movement that I created is called dark skin activism, and I created the movement in 1998. And I created it because there was nobody to talk about how dark-skinned people were treated badly and differently. There was no YouTube, there was no social media, so I decided to be that voice. And I created dark skin activism. And dark skin activism fights for the eradication of darkism and colorism. And dark skin activism consists of me writing books about only dark skin, me writing plays about only dark skin, and me doing darkism talks. Now, I've been doing this since 1998. It is a lane that was never heard of before. They say necessity is the mother of invention, and it was a need for this type of activism that was never done before me, and so I created it. It took years for me to get it off the ground, from 98 all the way up into 2010, continuing to, develop it through grassroots efforts. As a result, I've been written about in various newspapers such as the St. Petersburg Times. It's now known as the Tampa Bay Times, and many others. I've also been on television before, being interviewed about my dark skin struggle and skin tone discrimination. And this was really before there was social media, where I was allowed to, grace the media on television and in publications to speak about darkism. I was also on the cover of the Floridian, I believe in 2013. If you want to just Google Rashida Strober, you'll see my Wikipedia. You'll see some of the various articles that have written about me, and that kind of thing. My website is also darkskinactivist.com. Once again, darkskinactivist.com. You can go there and find out more information about me. Also, if you want to support the work that I do, go to my Cash App, which is $rashidalala. Once again, $rashidalala. And you can also go to my PayPal, which is icecreamladydream@yahoo.com. You go to my GoFundMe as well. And as I'm talking, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to put all the information inside of the chat box. But I got to kind of try my best to get to the point here of what happened. But that's just my introduction for those of you that don't know who I am, because I get new subscribers every day. My books also include Darkism, 25 Ways Dark-Skinned People Are Discriminated Against. My other books are How to Be the Hottest Dark-Skinned Chick on the Planet, which is the first motivational book ever written for dark-skinned females. My other books include A Dark-Skinned Woman's Revenge, which there is a play version of A Dark-Skinned Woman's Revenge, which I perform as a one-woman show, and I've been performing this show for the longest before anybody started talking about dark skin. And then another book that I wrote is called Token Dark Girl, the It Dark Girl of the Moment. So you guys can access my books. I also have a free book, ebook, audio book online, if you will. You can just, I believe it's on my YouTube channel, because I couldn't remember if I took it down or not. But it's called A Dark Skinned Girl's Triumph, the Rashida Strober story. If you YouTube that, you should see it. You can also get a free electronic copy of my book, Darkism, by going to my website, darkskinactivist.com. So there's a lot of information about my work and what I have accomplished over the years. It's been hard. There's been ups and downs. There's been ins and outs. And today is a day that is a down day, and I want to talk about it because I feel it's important to discuss this. Okay, so let me just start from the beginning. And let me give y'all a backstory before I start with the COVID-19 situation. And I'm not saying this with any disrespect. I'm saying it because it is my truth. It's my own life and what I went through and what I experienced. My mom was never a good mother to me, or my brothers. We were raised in poverty. We were raised getting evicted from different places. We were raised missing school. We were raised, getting beat. We were raised with a lot of instability due to poverty and due to whatever situations that caused my mother to have to go through what she was going through. My mother did not finish high school. My father also did not finish high school as well. My mom and dad got together when my mom was 23 and my dad was about 53. My dad was in the Nation of Islam. My mom later became a Pentecostal Christian. From my understanding, my dad wanted to marry my mom, but she didn't want to marry him because she decided that he was too old for her. She wanted to do something else. I grew up primarily with my mom, and like I stated, in dire poverty, very tumultuous situation, no stability. It was a pretty horrible childhood that I had. I suffered a lot. I have 5 brothers who also, I don't want to tell their story for them. I can only speak for me because it's tell their story, as is my right to tell my story. My brothers and sisters, we suffered a lot. It was a bad child. I had a horrible childhood. When I tell you I had a horrible childhood, I'm actually understating it. But I want to let you know that that is the backdrop here. So, as a result of what I went through when I grew up and, became an adult and had to take care of myself, which I really was taking care of my own self from about the age of 15 roughly, because I didn't have parents to do it for me. And by the time my dad, by the time I was older, my dad was old and sick and he couldn't do anything for anybody. In fact, he needed help. But I had to struggle to get anything and everything I've gotten in my life. I had to get it myself. Nobody helped me. Okay? Nobody helped me navigate through college. Nobody helped me when I got my first apartment. Nobody helped me when I was homeless. Nobody helped me when I was being abused on the street. Nobody helped me. Not my family members. They didn't help me. In fact, they demeaned me and talked down on me and called me all kinds of names and treated me bad. And as a result of being mistreated by my family members and my mom, I stopped talking to them for a long time. Completely cut them off. I wanted nothing to do with them, and to this day, that's the way that it really remains. I don't communicate with them. I don't argue with. There's probably one person in my family that I've kind of tried to. The person has expressed a willingness to be cordial and mend a relationship, and if someone does that with me and I see that they're sincere, I'm like, okay. So there's only really one person in my family. And I'm not talking about my brothers. There's only one brother I have that I don't like and I won't talk to. I'm not talking about my brother. I'm talking about my other family members outside of my siblings. But anyway, as a result of the way I was mistreated, talked about, buked and scum, called everything but a child of God. Nobody helped me when I was homeless and on the streets and didn't have a place to stay. Nobody helped me when I didn't have food to eat. Nobody helped me when I was struggling to get my GED because I wanted to be somebody better. Nobody helped me when I enrolled in college. Nobody helped me. They didn't help me. All they did was talk about me. And through all of that, I ignored it, and I just kept moving forward and handling my business. And I never bothered anybody. I always kept to myself. I didn't go to nobody's house and ask them for help. I didn't call them. I kept to myself, and I just dealt with the poverty. I dealt with the pain. I dealt with the struggle. I dealt with it, and I pulled myself up. I truly did, because they didn't help me. These are all facts. My mom didn't help me. She didn't help me with anything. In fact, she kicked all of her kids out of the house. And my father was in the military, and so he got a VA check, and she threw all of us out. She had threw my other brother. I really don't want to get into their story because that's their story to tell, but basically all of her kids, all 6 of us, she kicked us out. She did not take care of us. She was not a good parent, and I'm not saying that as a disrespect. I'm saying it because I'm telling the truth. So I was left to fend for myself in this world. Okay, that's probably why people say you're mean, you got a tough exterior. I don't really care. I know what I went through. And through all of that, I never did drugs. I wasn't on alcohol. I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't get in trouble with the law. I cleaned my life up and got myself together and did what I had to do. Okay? Okay? So that's the backdrop to all of this, y'all. That is the backdrop. So now recently, we have the COVID-19 going around, as we all know. And over the last 2 weeks, my stepdad has came to me and my brothers, and he has said, your mom is sick. Okay? I personally, because one thing about me, if a person needs help, I will help them. I'll put aside all the other stuff. Even if I don't like you, I'll still try to help you if you really need help. So my stepdad contacted me and said, your mom is sick. I don't know what's wrong. She's not eating. She's not acting normally. I said, okay. I went to my mom's house twice to check on her and try to encourage her to go to the doctor. But my mom is the type of woman that is going to do things her way, and no one's going to force her to do it their way, and it's going to be her way or the highway. And that's just how she is. And I know that. So I went in, my stepdad, who's been with her for over 30 years. I went in, I talked to her. I told her to go to the hospital. She didn't want to go. Went over there twice. I informed all of my brothers of what was going on. Now, this is about 2 weeks ago. This has been going on within the course of 2 weeks. And I told my stepdad, I said, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call 911 if this gets worse. I'm going to call 911 because I can't force her. But what I can do is I can call 911. So during the course of the week, these 2 weeks, I also went to the store and bought my mom food. Now, I was doing all this stuff quietly because I don't need to tell people what I'm doing. I just go ahead and do it. I never said anything about it. The reason I'm on here talking about this is because I was attacked by a light-skinned family member of mine this morning. So since I'm being attacked, I'm laying out all the facts of what has happened because this person is attacking me for no reason. So getting back to my mom being sick, during the course of these 2 weeks where we have been trying to encourage her to go to the hospital and she's been arguing with us and refusing, I also bought food to her house. The other day she called me and asked me to go to the store and get her some fruit and lemon water. I went, got it, took it to her, checked on her, and I left. Also, the other day, I went to their house and I went online to Publix. They have an app where they will deliver food to your house. I ordered groceries for my mom and my stepdad on the app. Me and Lauren, we went over there and we sat down and we went and ordered the groceries for her. My stepdad gave me his debit card and I went online and ordered the groceries. And so yesterday I get a phone call from my youngest brother and he says, listen, you need to encourage her to go to the hospital. So I was in the middle of doing something. I stopped what I was doing and I went directly over to my mom's house to see what was going on. This was yesterday. And my stepdad, her husband, we were able to get her to go to the doctor finally after 2 weeks of trying. Now, I'm actually being nice about her interaction with us when we would try to ask her to go. She wasn't very nice about it. That's all I'm going to say. But yesterday, she actually decided, okay, I'm going to go to the doctor. So I went to go pick up my daughter from school. And immediately after I picked up my daughter from school, I canceled everything and I went to the hospital to check on my mom. When I got to the hospital, I had Lauren with me, and their policy was that they would not allow children under the age of, I believe, 15 into the hospital. So they wouldn't let me in there, but I sat in the parking lot of the emergency room and I stayed on the phone constantly with my stepdad, my mom, my youngest brother, and my second old brother. We was on the phone talking. And I called my mom on the phone and she was asking me about the oxygen in her nose, and she was asking me, and I told her, you need to stay in the hospital and let them do their job because they're helping you. Because, you haven't been wanting to eat, and there's some dehydration issues there, and there's, you need to stay in the hospital. I called my brother, who's in another state, and me and him was on the phone the whole time I was sitting in the parking lot. And we agreed that, yes, this is what she needed to do, and we was talking back and forth. And my oldest brother was on the phone with my mom at the same time, telling her to stay in the hospital. And my stepdad was in the hospital with my mom, telling her to stay in the hospital. Again, I'm sitting in the parking lot of the hospital. I sat there for probably around, I want to say about 2 hours, probably almost close to 3 hours, just sitting in the parking lot because, again, they wouldn't allow me in because I had my daughter with me. And I got my daughter, so what am I supposed to do? So my thing was to sit in the parking lot and just to kind of keep myself updated. And as I sat there, like I said, I kept calling my brother. I got 5 brothers. I was in contact with 2 of them yesterday. I kept calling them and we was just talking about her situation. And I was explaining to my brother everything that was leading up to what was going on. And my brother was concerned about whether or not she had health insurance. And, he would have stepped in and we was just, talking about what we needed to do. And we was all agreeing that she needs to stay in the hospital. And I kept calling my stepdad, who was in there. And long story short, when I called my stepdad on the phone while sitting in the parking lot of the hospital in the emergency room because they wouldn't let me in because I had my daughter, who's under the age of 15. While sitting in the parking lot, I called my stepdad back because, remember, I'm going back and forth I'm calling everybody. My mom, my stepdad, and my brothers. I'm making the rounds. My stepdad, I'm on the phone with my stepdad, and I hear my mom trying to say it as nicely as possible. She's basically telling him in an argumentative way that she is not going to stay in the hospital. This is what she was telling him. And nobody's going to force her. And so because patients have rights and you cannot force them to stay in the hospital if they don't want to, she demanded that my stepdad take her home. The hospital then released her, even though me, my oldest brother, my youngest brother, and my second oldest brother, even though we all agreed that she needs to stay in the hospital because she had waited so long to go to the hospital because she kept refusing, she needed to stay in the hospital just to make sure everything was okay. We all kept telling her this. In fact, my oldest brother was under the impression, and I spoke with him this morning, that she was still in the hospital because he had told her to stay, and she had agreed that she would stay. He didn't even know that she didn't stay in the hospital. So after all of this begging and pleading and asking my mom to stay in the hospital to make sure you're okay because you have COVID-19 and you waited so long, he refused and demanded that her husband take her home, which he did. This all happened yesterday. And I want to reiterate that I sat in the parking lot of the emergency room for close to 3 hours talking to my brothers and my stepdad and my mom. And so after close to 3 hours, after I realized that she was not going to listen to anything that any of us was telling her, I left because my stepdad took her home and the hospital released her because she has the free will to do so. We couldn't make her stay. So yesterday evening, sometimes my mom would not answer her phone. For whatever reason, it'll go to her voicemail, but my stepdad always answers his phone. So I called and checked in with him yesterday, asking him, y'all all right? Y'all need anything? This was yesterday. This morning, when I woke up, the first thing I did, and I got my phone to prove that I actually called them what time. The first thing I did is I got on the phone and I called my stepdad. I'm not going to say his name, but I said, what do you and my mom need? Do y'all need anything? That's the first thing I asked him. Do y'all need anything? How are y'all doing? That's the first thing I asked him. He's the first person that I called this morning when I got up. And I called him because I knew that my mama was not going to answer the phone. This has been going on for years. We can talk to get through to him quicker than we can get through to my mom. So I called my stepdad, the first person I called this morning, to check on my mom and ask if there was anything that she and he needed. Because I believe that he probably ended up with the coronavirus too. So, as I was speaking to my stepdad, asking what is going on and what is needed, at 8:30 this morning, I get a call from this other light-skinned family member out of the blue. I hadn't even talked to this person. I had not texted this person. I had not phoned this person. I was not even thinking about this person. I was thinking about my mom, my stepdad, and if they needed something, and her situation that she's in because she refused to stay in the hospital. So, while in the middle of speaking to my stepdad about my mom and figuring out what she needed, this person called me. And when I clicked over and answered the phone, the person was immediately combative and loud, saying, "You need to go get your mama some meat!" Threw me off guard. Threw me completely off guard. And what she was saying is, for those of y'all that didn't understand, I'm just trying to express how this person approached me when I clicked over and answered the phone. She was saying is, you need to go get your mama something to eat. I was trying to explain to her, I'm on the phone with them right now as we speak. And as I was trying to explain this to her, she hung up the phone. Okay. She then, after I got off the phone with her, I had called, because my stepdad had hung up the phone. I was like completely confused as to why she was calling me, because I don't even talk to this person at all. She had nothing to do with anything at all. I hadn't even told her about my mom being sick the last 2 weeks and what was going on. I had no communication with this person about my mom until today. So I was like, what is going on here? It threw me for a loop. Anyway, I called my stepdad back and I wrote down a list of the food items that I needed to get for them, because I was ignoring this person and going on about my business. Now, mind you, it's like still around 8 something in the morning. I wasn't dressed. I was just trying to figure out what needed to be done. So my brother had called me and told me to get chicken soup as well. So I was like, okay. So I wrote on my list the chicken soup, some fruit, grapefruit cups, all the things that he had told me to get. I was writing the list down. I get dressed, get myself prepared to go to the store, get Lauren dressed, because mind you, now we got to go do a COVID-19 test, which I'm going to end this story right about now if I say this, because I got to go get a COVID-19 test for me and my daughter, because we have been around her. Daughter has been around her grandma. Okay, but let me just finish in this part, and then I might come back on here and do a part 2, because I do got to go. So I wrote down a list of everything that my mom, that Charles, I didn't mean to say his name. My stepdad, I was trying to leave people's name out. But anyway, my stepdad, which I don't think he minds. He's the good guy here anyway. He was the one that he lives with her. He was the one that's telling us what was going on with my mom. Anyway, after I wrote down a list of what my stepdad told me to get for him and my mom, I got dressed, got Lauren dressed, and we proceeded to go to the store. We proceeded to go to Publix, because my mama liked the food from Publix. So we proceeded to go to Publix. And as I was pulling into Publix getting the stuff for mom and my stepdad, I get a mean, evil, rude, nasty, low-down, dirty text from this person, this light-skinned person that called me while I was on the phone with my stepdad figuring out the food we was going to get for my mama. This person proceeds to leave me a text message which set off a string of text messages attacking me, which then within those text messages, the darkism came out. The darkism that has been inflicted upon me for years by this person. Some people call it colorism. Okay? Well, straight, you said, what does her skin tone matter? Well, I'm going to tell you when I do the part 2. I'm going to tell you when I do the part 2. Right now, I stopped this live because I have to go. I have a scheduled appointment to take my daughter and myself to get a COVID-19 test. So I'm going to have to stop this live right now. And I'm going to come back with part 2 to explain to you about what proceeded to happen by this light-skinned individual in my family that attacked me and proceeded to show me, express to me in text messages the underlying darkism that's always been lying there underneath the surface. So I want to thank y'all for listening. Rashida Strober, the world's first and only dark-skinned activist. The Cash App is $rashidalala. Once again, $rashidalala. The PayPal is icecreamladydream@yahoo.com. And my website is darkskinactivist.com. And I will be back with part 2. Thank you.